Assembly's live, so come subscribe. Your soul's in trial, or simply tired. Your soul medicine, it gets revived. The warrior line, soul tribe, Assembly's live. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Aaron and Jennifer. I'm with my friend Jennifer, and we have another discussion day, a conversation day. But before we get into the conversation, please take a moment to like and subscribe and share. We've got some great conversation. We've been getting a lot of great feedback on the conversation that we have. This is not a podcast, even though I say it's podcast. This is my YouTube channel, and I greatly appreciate all who have liked, shared, and gave us feedback in the channel, because we really work hard to be a safe space that people can come share and listen to what we have to say. And again, please, if you would like and share the channel, would be greatly appreciated. And how you doing, my dear friend Jennifer? How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Oh yeah, as always, I love our conversation. We're going to do something a little different today. I think this is going to be great, and we can take the conversation as our thoughts go, our minds. We want to touch even what's going on now, because I think it all correlates, because it was still less than, believe it or not, it was still less than a year ago, November 2024, that Vice President Harris ran for the presidency and lost the election. But she came out with a book. It's coming out, 107 Days. Kamala Harris, name of the book is 107 Days. And there's some excerpts we got from a newspaper article, has some excerpts that's coming out. And I'm going to read the excerpt, and I'm going to get your thoughts. I'm glad to get your thoughts as a Black woman, as somebody who's really politically astute, savvy, intelligent in this world. And just based on what she says, I really love the first excerpt from the book. And it says this, it says, obviously, this is when she found out that day. I don't know if it was sleepy. I think it was sleepy Saturday or Sunday. I mean, when this came out, and it just rocked everything. She says this: a Black woman was slated to be the Democratic nominee for president. It was us, and everyone there understood what it meant. That this would be a journey of both joy and pain. In my life, I've seen over and over that it's often the people with the least who give the most. That really touched me. I think she was talking to her fraternity group. This was a pre-planned trip she had in Houston. She's an HBCU graduate from Howard, and she's part of the Divine Nine, and she was speaking to Black women. I love, she says, a journey of joy and pain. And when I think about those words she wrote, I'm thinking about how that's really the experience of Black women, more people than Black women, particularly Black women in this case, because we're going to define it as that in this discussion. Joy and pain, with a lot of pain with it, and it was just powerful that she said that, revealing to us her thoughts, that she knew she was up against something. She wasn't, in my opinion, she was never naive or lack of understanding or aloof or not aware of the historical thing that she was dealing with as the first Black woman Democratic nominee for president of the United States, first Black woman, period, whether either side, either party, for president of the United States. And then she says, in my life, I've seen over and over that it's often the people with the least who give the most. And we've discussed it on this show, on Conversation many times. It's often the people who give the least, who gets the least, who give the most. And that is so true. And here's my thoughts. I think that's a powerful statement from her, I believe.
The people who have the least give the most.
Yeah.
That's the sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a religious person.
Right.
But there is a story in the Bible about a widow.
Mm.
Right? Are you with me?
Come on now. I'm letting you. I'm just come on. I hear you. That struck me in my heart. Like, yeah, buddy. I'm with you.
There's a story in the Bible about a widow who gave all she had to the kingdom of God in that moment. And Jesus asked her, Why are you giving everything you have when those who have more are barely giving anything? And when and of course she says, well, that's because in her heart, that's what she's compelled to do, right?
Mhm.
Again, full disclosure, I'm not a religious person, but I did grow up very religious. So stories like this come to mind during times like this, much the way people remember phrases from movies or shows. And I think that's born of that place where she's saying, where Vice President Kamala Harris is saying that because she grew up being someone who didn't have much.
Mhm.
She was raised by a single mom who didn't have much. And the body of Kamala Harris's life is that of a servant. She has consistently given more than she's taken.
Yes.
And so I, as a Black woman voter, when she acknowledged and thanked Black women for helping her get to where she needed to be,
Mhm.
I think if we all sit down in the quiet, I think that was all of us just internalizing. We always do so much. We're always doing the most. And it isn't about getting credit,
Mhm.
but when we're discredited
Mm.
for all we've done,
Right.
that's the Black woman's plight, right?
Yeah.
So I think of that story as you were saying what you're saying. And in all fairness, it is an excerpt. There is a bigger contextual part of these comments, but these excerpts, but like the Bible, you can spend 6 weeks studying one sentence
Mhm.
before you zoom out and look at the context, of what is said, what's the rest of the comment, what's the rest of the story, what's the rest of
Yeah.
everything else. But I think that that's one of the magic components of who Vice President Kamala Harris is, that her lived experience shines in a lot of the things that she says and does. And what a shame that we didn't send her to the White House.
Yeah. Yeah, beautifully said, and I thank you for that scripture basis. I'm not a religious person too. I believe in a relationship with God, and that's powerful that you use the widows, the one who had the least still gave the most, and that's what we see in our country. That's what we see right now. People that's giving the least are the ones keeping this country from really just it is what it is, but that's over the edge, and it's a powerful statement that you made about the widow, deeply intuitive with that, tying it together. Because I truly believe when I look at her life and I see what she was a servant, she is a servant, and that's a beautiful, brilliant. That's a brilliant analysis on that that I didn't even think about. But wow, that was powerful. Like
Okay,
huh?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The story is the widow who gave 2 coins, known for the story of the widow's mite, recorded in the Gospel of Mark and the Gospel of Luke. In this biblical account, Jesus observes people giving generously to the temple treasury in Jerusalem. While the wealthy contribute from their surplus, Jesus highlights the poor widow who gives all she has, 2 small copper coins or mites, demonstrating true generosity and faith. Her act is significant not for its monetary value, but because it represents her complete trust in God's provision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because she was a widow and she was extremely poor, she lacked financial and social support, she was willing to give all that she had to something that she believed in. And of course, because she has nothing, what she gave was far greater than what the wealthier people gave, which was even below their bare minimum. Kind of like our tax structure in America.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah. So that sacrificial giving, I think that, it comes at great personal sacrifice.
it
When
does.
you give more than you have, you feel it.
Yes.
And I, I think that's one of the leadership values that can be found in Black women specifically,
Hmm.
because we get paid the least per dollar, because we are not often catapulted into leadership positions. We don't have the luxury of failing forward.
Right.
We have to be twice as good to even be considered. And then 9 times out of 10, even though you're qualified, they're going to pick someone not qualified, like
Hmm.
this current presidency. But I think that when you don't have much to give and you give what you have, you feel that after you do it. And I
Hmm.
think that is part of why Black women, at when we got the results of the election and the writing was on the wall and we saw how everyone voted, we said no. We opted out
Hmm.
because we have consistently given everything we had. Again, it's not about credit, but when you discredit people for it, I
Hmm.
mean, we have families. Everyone has the same amount of hours per day. But we spend our time and energy looking out for everyone, not just ourselves.
Right. That's right. The epitome of
So I
unselfish.
think her statement comes from a really big place,
Yeah.
is basically the point.
Right.
No, I'll be quiet.
No, please don't be quiet. We got a lot. We got a good one to get through. This can't be quiet on this one. Now, this is one you got to always. That's what I always taught my students. I try to teach you in the church. I have preached that. Y'all, context is very important because so many times, especially in this moment we look at right now, people have because they don't study, don't understand history and context. They always say things they shouldn't say or say things totally out of whack. And to understand this context, you gotta when she's speaking and when she's writing here, you gotta remember the moment. This was after the first debate, is what it was. She first came out there when they interviewed Vice President Harris after that first debate. They wanted her to throw Joe Biden under the bus because obviously it wasn't good, and she didn't. What did she say? She said, "We all have a bad night." Bad
Mm-hmm.
night, move on. Right? If you don't understand context, you'll run with the narrative today. You got to understand in that moment, it was a lot of pressure. This is going on, and he's this, and then of course the debate happened before millions of people. She said everybody has a bad night, but he's good. He's fine. Let's move on. And so she wrote this because obviously it was a lot of pressure. So she's writing this excerpt. She says these words, and it shows you the power of her intellectual ability, her servant's heart. It shows you the power of humanity in dealing with this very unprecedented situation in American history. She says she wrote these words. It's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, and if we've been hypnotized, was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. But at age 81, Joe was tired. That's when his age showed in physical and verbal stumbles. I don't think it was any surprise that the debate debacle happened right after two back-to-back trips to Europe and a flight to the West Coast for an Hollywood fundraisers. I don't believe it was incapacity. I'll read that again. I don't believe it was incapacity. If I believed that, I would have said so. As loyal as I am to President Biden, I am more loyal to my country. Now, what is the controversy in that? She said this was Joe and Jill's decision. She said I don't believe the man was incapacitated. She said he had took two back-to-back trips. Fact, he is 81 years old. Can't nobody do nothing about that. That's just a simple fact of life. He's 81 years old. She said he gets tired. I don't believe his incapacity. And at the end, I am more loyal to my country anybody. But that's controversial. See, that's the power of a black woman weaving this thread of a very complicated, unprecedented situation, not throwing nobody under the bus, not disrespecting the president, but not being cruel, actually being humane, actually being a good steward, a good servant, and serving him. Yet it's going to be twisted in the fact that, well, she shouldn't said that. See, people can't even tell the truth about anything. You go Democrat, Republican side, like, well, I'm not talking about it's a shame that go through the situation we're in now. That you can't tell the truth because even people that on your side gonna get offended by you telling the truth. Everybody in America seeing Joe Biden have a bad debate night. It was just a bad debate night. It doesn't matter what you party are. It was a bad night. To deny that would be not living in reality that you say that you want. She said that it was a bad night, but we're gonna move forward. She says it was him and his wife's decision. She said it. I don't believe he was incapacitated. She said he got tired. He just went on a back-to-back trip overseas. Then went out to Hollywood. I don't believe it was clearly. I don't believe it was incapacity. But my loyalty is to the president. My loyalty to the country above any office. But that gets twisted into being, well, she's not a loyal soldier. She threw him on the bus. No, this is her story. And I'm finished. See, everybody wants black people's, particularly black women's story to be their story. No, this is Vice President Harris. It's not Aaron's experience. It's not Jennifer's experience. It's not my wife's experience. It's not my daughter's. This is what she experienced sitting in the Vice President of the United States. But we can't handle her story. People can't handle her story because they want her to lie to make them feel good. I just don't believe it was any type of maliciousness. I think she beautifully wrote it, but she had to write the truth because if you're not going to write the truth, then again, where's your credibility go? But that's just my thoughts on that particular excerpt.
I, as a lifelong voter, have never used an entertainment-based debate to frame who I'm going to vote for. I'm too smart for that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I actually don't even understand the value of debate, especially in today's framing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I think it's about it. Political debates are about style over substance. So here you have two men who both completed one term of a presidency, both of them. President Biden, of course, was at the end of his. There was never a compare and contrast of their ability to create jobs for Americans, lower prices, any of the pet things that they took an interest in during their presidencies, like domestic violence, universal health care, pre-K education for free, feeding school children, things of that. Those things never come out in a debate. Again, remember, both of these men did one term as presidents. If we did debates properly, the questions would be about these things of substance, because you've both had a term as presidents. Let's talk about COVID. Let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about the price of eggs. Let's talk about job creation. Because in those questions, we, the voters, would now be informed. But that's not what the debates are. The debates are politics as entertainment.
Circus, yeah.
And that's such a big turnoff to me as an informed, pragmatic voter. I don't get any value out of it. All it is grandstanding for people who are not politically plugged in.
Tribe, Assemblies Live, it's friendly vibes. This soul medicine will give you life. You're a warrior, let's get this right. Warrior Line, Soul Tribe, Assemblies Live, so come subscribe. Your soul